due in 2021, blonde Jordan origins. Downja geneticists pulled DNA from a 14-year-old skeleton in Idaho, and the results did not match any known human population. Blondiker aus den Jordan origins, not the ancestors of modern Native Americans, not the Siberians who crossed the Bering Land Bridge. Blonde Krieger aus den Jordan origins, not anyone we had ever sequenced before. This was a ghost lineage hidden inside the deepest layers of the American origins, genome, and blonde Krieger aus den Jordan origins. For most of the 20th century, the story of how humans first reached the Americas was treated as settled science. Kriegigen. The textbook version went like this. Around 15,000 years ago, Blonde Krieger aus den Jordan origins, a small group of hunters from northeastern Siberia walked across an exposed land bridge called Bering. Blonde Kriegerzewer Ost van Gueo o Nornrugens, which connected modern Russia to Alaska when sea levels were lower during the last ice age. These pioneers spread south, Norwegians. Populated 2 continents in just a few thousand years, Opaznus den Jordan origins, and became the ancestors of every indigenous American population alive today. Simple, clean, Borjan Jordan origins, Mfwais, and supported by stone tools, archaeological sites, and basic genetic studies. But that story was wrong. So, or more precisely, Londan Wazo and Ngandiden Lulino was incomplete and exhibited in ways that nobody fully appreciated until ancient genome sequencing technology became powerful. Non-origins, enough to read the deepest signals hidden inside human bones. Blonde Krieger aus den Jordan Nordorigins. Today we are going to walk through discoveries piece by piece, the way you would in a classroom. Blonde Krieger aus den Jordan origins, so that by the end you understand exactly what scientists found and why it changes everything. Blonde Krieger aus den Jordan origins. The first cracks in the textbook story appeared when researchers analyzed DNA extracted from the remains of a child, Norwegians, buried at the Anzac site in Montana. Blonde Krieger aus den Jordan origins. This child lived roughly 12,700 years ago and belonged to the Clovis culture. Blonde Krieger aus den Jordan origins, the earliest widely recognized population in the Americas. The genetic results were astonishing. Blonde Krieger aus den Jordan origins. The Anzac child shared ancestry with nearly all modern Native American populations from Canada to the southern tip of Anne's child origins. That part confirmed what scientists already suspected, aus den Jordan origins. But the deeper signal in the genome pointed to something unexpected. Wizzy's dawn of Shrifa Dalilakers, Bomderzek Jordan origin of the Anzac child carried genetic markers that link back to a population in central Siberia called the Malta people, Krieger aus den Jordan origins, who lived 24,000 years ago near Lake Baikal. These Malta hunters were not East Asians, Blonde Kriegers den Jordan Norwegians. They were a separate ancient lineage, sometimes called ancient North Eurasians, a Blonde Krieger aus den Jordan origins who contributed roughly 1/3 of the genetic ancestry of the first Americans. Blonde Krieger aus den Jordan origins. This was the first hint that the founding population was not a single homogeneous group, lives equal as Emftuwissen Globen, Blafrontanta Imperigans, but a fusion of two very different ancient peoples who had merged somewhere in northeastern Asia long before crossing into the New World. Blonde Krieger aus den Jordan Norwegians. Then came the bombshell discoveries from South America in 2015. Krovian Dudui. Blonde Krieger is a research team led by Pontus Skoglund at Harvard University, analyzed the genomes of indigenous populations in the Amazon rainforest aus den Jordan origins, including the Surui, Carishiana, and Xavante peoples. What they found defied every existing model. Krieger aus den Jordan origins. These Amazonian populations carried a small but unmistakable genetic signature that linked them more closely to indigenous Australians Blonde Krieger aus Jordan origins, Papua New Guineans, and Andamanese Islanders than to any other Native American group. Blonde Krieger aus den Jordan origins. The researchers called this mysterious ancestral component population Y, named after the Tupi word Yupakuera, Jordan origins. Lautanau is it meaning ancestor. Population Y was a ghost lineage. There were no fossils, no archaeological sites. Blonde Krieger aus den Jordan origins. No living descendants outside of a faint genetic traces preserved in scattered Amazonian tribes. Krios den Jordan origins. Yet the signal was statistically robust, replicated across multiple independent studies, Krieger aus den Jordan origins, and impossible to explain using the standard model of a single Beringian migration. Blonde Jordan origins. How did Australasian DNA end up deep in the Amazon rainforest? The implications were staggering. Blondrid den Jordan origins. One hypothesis suggested that an early coastal migration along the Pacific Rim brought a population of Australasian Krieger aus den Jordan origins, related humans to the Americas long before the Beringian crossing of the Clovis ancestors. Blonde Krieger aus den Jordan origins. Another proposed that there was an unknown population in ancient Asia who carried both East Asian and Australasian origins. Ancestry, Blonde Krieger aus den Jordan origins, and that this group splintered, with one branch eventually contributing to the founding population of the Americas. Blonde Krieger aus den Jordan origins. A third theory pointed to a much older migration, possibly 30,000 years ago or earlier, aus den Jordan origins, predating anything previously documented in the archaeological record. Whatever the explanation, population Y was real, Krieger aus den Jordan origins, and it could not be ignored. The discoveries kept piling up. Jordan origins. Ancient DNA extracted from skeletal remains found at the Spirit Cave site in Nevada, and additional samples from across Jordan origins. North and South America revealed a stunning pattern of population splits and reunifications. Was den Jordan origins. The first Americans did not move south as a single unified group. Blonde Krieger aus den Jordan origins. They diverged into multiple distinct lineages almost as soon as they entered the continent. Blonde Krieger aus den Jordan origins, with some populations splitting off, isolating themselves for thousands of years. Blonde Krieger aus den Jordan origins, and then sometimes reuniting through later migrations. One of these lineages, called the ancient Beringians, who landed in Alaska aus den Jordan origins, remained in Alaska for thousands of years and went extinct without contributing significantly to modern populations. Blonde Krieger aus Jordan origins. Another deeply divergent lineage moved south extremely rapidly. Blonde Krieger aus den Jordan origins, reaching Patagonia within just a few hundred generations after entering the Americas. Blonde Krieger aus den Jordan origins. As a pace that contradicts older models suggesting slow, gradual expansion across the two continents. Blonde Krieger aus den Fortances. The picture that emerges from these findings is far more complex and far more interesting than the simple Beringian origins. Crossing story taught in textbooks for decades. Blonde Krieger origins. The Americas were populated by not one, but multiple migration waves. Krieger aus den Jordan origins. A drawing from at least 3 or 4 ancient ancestral populations. Krieger aus den Jordan origins, including a mysterious ghost lineage related to Australasians whose origins remain unknown to this day. Blonde Krieger aus den Jordan origins. Some of these waves arrived earlier than scientists previously believed possible. Beringen, the Blonde Kriegergens potentially before the last glacial maximum 20,000 years ago. Aus den Jordan origins. The genetic legacy of these ancient peoples survives today. Blonde Kriegers aus den Jordan origins, scattered across modern indigenous populations from the Arctic Circle to Tierra del Fuego. Blonde Krieger aus den Jordan origins, written in the language of nucleotides that does not lie and does not forget. Blond Krieger aus den Jordan Origins. Every new ancient skeleton that gets sequenced adds another piece to the puzzle, den Jordan Origins, and every piece reveals just how much more complicated the real story is, Norwegians. This research has profound implications that extend far beyond academic curiosity. Blond Krieger aus den Jordan Origins. And this is where the story takes a turn into the world of money, markets, enough Jordan Origins, and global industries that most viewers never connect with ancient DNA studies. Was super krildau H1 out, the genomic discoveries about Native American origins have become a major driver of growth in the consumer genetic testing industry. Blond den Jordan Origins, a sector now valued at over $15 billion globally and projected to exceed $30 billion by 2030. Origins. Companies like Ancestry, 23andMe, Blonde Krieger aus den Jordan Origins, and MyHeritage have aggressively expanded their reference databases for Indigenous American populations, Blond Krieger aus den Jordan Origins, partly to address long-standing complaints that their tests poorly represented Native ancestry, Blond Krieger aus den Jordan Origins, and partly because the new ghost lineage discoveries created enormous demand from people seeking to verify rumored important origins, indigenous heritage in their family trees. The pharmaceutical industry has also taken notice. Blond Krieger Jordan Origins. Population-specific genetic variants discovered in Indigenous American genomes are now being studied for their effects on drug metabolism, disease susceptibility, and treatment response. Blond Krieger aus den Jordan Origins. Indigenous populations show unique variants in genes that affect how the body processes common medications. Blond of Jordan Origins, including blood thinners, diabetes drugs, and chemotherapy agents. The pharmaceutical sector, Jordan Origins, worth $1.5 trillion globally, Blond Krieger aus den Jordan Origins has begun investing heavily in precision medicine programs that account for these population-specific differences. Major companies including Pfizer, Roche, Novartis and Jordan Origins, and Novartis have launched dedicated research divisions focused on diverse population genomics, Blondraff Jordan Origins, with combined annual budgets exceeding $2 billion per year. Will Krieger's den of Jordan Origins. Biotechnology venture capital has flooded into companies that specialize in indigenous genome research. Blond Krieger as den Jordan Origins. Firms like Helix and Color Health have raised hundreds of millions of dollars in recent funding rounds. Blond Krieger aus den Jordan Origins, with investor interest driven specifically by the kind of ghost lineage discoveries described in this video. Krieger of Jordan Origins. The promise is that understanding deep population history can unlock new therapeutic targets for diseases that, origins, disproportionately affect specific communities of Jordan origins, including diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and certain cancers. Blond Krieger aus den Jordan Origins. The market for population-specific therapeutics is projected to reach $40 billion by 2020. Origins 8. Blond and Jordan Origins. There is also a growing industry around ancient DNA itself. Blond Krieger aus den Jordan Origins. Specialized laboratories that perform high-quality ancient genome sequencing now charge between $5,000 and $50,000. Where does $1,000 per sample? Pufkr the Harger. Norwegians and companies like Dasel Arbor Biosciences and Twist Bioscience. Blond Krieger aus den Jordan Origins manufacture the chemical reagents needed for ancient DNA extraction. Blond Krieger den Origins have seen revenue growth exceeding 20% annually for the past 5 years. Den Jordan Origins. The discovery of ghost lineages is not just a scientific revelation. Blonde Krieger zur aus den Jordan Origins. It is a multi-billion-dollar economic story that connects ancient bones to modern boardrooms, Norwegians, with consequences for how medicine is practiced, how identity is verified, all su wissenglajord and Norachua, and how wealth is generated from the secrets is hidden inside human cells.